apologies for a little bit of tardiness, but family life and all that good stuff, and you know how that goes. And but shout out to each and everybody. Welcome to the special edition of VK Jones Show, Sunday edition, the LHSAA playoff edition. We're gonna talk sports, but we also gonna talk about the LHSAA football playoffs for you. Now we get to state championship action in a couple weeks for the region, but we'll talk about the finals, and also we will talk a little bit about the state semifinals in the classes as well later on in the show. But we'll start with some sports talk. But at the same time, let's introduce my co-host, my main man right here, Mr. Jared, JB Boy, Mr. Stereo Dibs, Mr. Over the Top Rope. What's going on with you, man?
Man, nothing much. Just enjoying life, loving all the sports we got going on right now, from high school football to college football to pros, and then the NBA about to start back up. So I'm just enjoying everything.
Absolutely. And our special guest, we usually would have Jared. We usually would have Dashone Denham's with us, but he had some things going today, so he couldn't make it. And we usually have a guest today. One of our guests was supposed to be with us, but he had some plans today. Hopefully, we'll have him on next week. But our special guest for today, our special guest expert, sports from say Crescent City Sports, and also he does a lot with football out there in the Central Louisiana area, and also a big time horse race expert. Jared, if you're in the horse racing, this man can help you a whole lot and help a whole lot of people out with money, but that's down the line. My friend, Mr. George Pep is on with us, our special guest for today. George, how you doing out there in Sinla?
I'm doing fine, BK. And Jared, it's good to holler at you, man. I've heard a lot of good things. It's gonna be fun. This is gonna be a fun couple hours we're gonna have here.
Oh yeah, most definitely.
Absolutely. We're on for a quick 90 minutes today. We'll get off around the 215, 216 mark. People have some other things to do today. We usually come on maybe on Sunday night or something like that, but at the same time, some people has to go to work today, unfortunately.
Yeah.
So we have to
Same here.
go early today. So it's no problem, but we're doing it here. And we appreciate you joining us. First of all, before we go any further, a special shout out going to Mr. Roe Brown. First of all, congratulations to him. He will be inducted to the Louisiana Sports Hall of Fame. Long time working in sports for a long time in Louisiana, in New Orleans, and very much a good friend of all of us. And we're very, very happy for Roe to be inducted, and it's going to be a great ceremony indeed. And man, so Roe Brown, if you're watching, congratulations, man. And I appreciate all things you've done for all of us, especially myself. So I'm very, very proud of you, man. So shout out to you, Roe Brown. Congratulations.
Well deserved. I mean, he's an outstanding person. We all know him well, and it took long enough for the Sports Hall of Fame to recognize. But Roe Brown, I grew up watching him on DSU in the '80s. WDSU. That's I don't want to reveal my age. I mean, I am up against 50.
That's no
It is
problem
what
with
it
us,
is.
man. Go ahead.
It is what it is. No, it's only a number, right?
Yeah.
I guess. But
Right.
anyway, no, I used to watch Roe back in the day on WDSU and him, Buddy Delaberto, and all those. But this is an honor well deserved. He's done so much for the city, and Roe is a great friend to all of us. He's already given me a position. When I moved out here in 2010, he calls me the mayor of Bunkie. So I guess I wear that hat pretty well along the hats that you've already given me. So I'm good with that too.
Mayor of Bunkie, Louisiana, indeed.
Exactly.
And I'll tell you, Jerry, your thoughts on Roe, man. I know you have a lot to say.
Oh well, look, I've watched the news when I have an uncle and an auntie that worked in the news business out here, and seeing Roe Brown on WDSU. Roe Brown's a legend. He still works in the city doing things. So you see his face, you know who he is. And then it's so funny because a lot of people don't know that Roe Brown used to work in Lake Charles. And I heard stories about when Roe Brown used to work in Lake Charles before I was even born. Knowing that my mom and her side of the family are from Lake Charles. So, a legend here in the state A legend definitely here in New Orleans. So this is well deserved, long overdue, and I am also happy and proud that this is happening.
Absolutely. I mean, long time coming, and he really is getting his just desserts and getting what he deserves. He still does a radio show on WBOK and also working with Cut City Sports with Ken Trahan on the original. I mean, he's doing some great stuff, and he always, and I admired him a lot for him, doing some education things outside of sports. So he always talk about life, and every time I go and meet him and talk with him. I mean, he exchanged some great stories. I mean, he give you some stories for days, man. So big shout out to Ro. Congratulations to him. First of all, let's get to some sports talk before we get to the playoffs. Before we get to the LSU Tigers, and not just that, a great day of college football. Let's talk a little bit of the New Orleans Saints. The Saints will be playing today, a 4:15 approximate kickoff East Coast time, 3:15 New Orleans time. They will be on the road against the Philadelphia Eagles today. The big story for Philadelphia that Jalen Hurts will be getting his first NFL start for the Philadelphia Eagles. The New Orleans Saints, they're going to stick with Taysom Hill. They're not going to rush Drew Brees back, which is a good move for the Saints for right now. So, George, I'm going to start with you since you're the special guest today. Your thoughts on this game? Does the Saints handle business, or should they not take lightly of Jalen Hurts starting today because he's mobile and he does not have that bad of an arm?
No, here's the thing with the Saints, and under it has to be inherently understood. This is their third consecutive road game, and in the NFL, three road games in a row. Thank you, Roger, by the way, for that, Roger Goodell. But the third road game is always the one that's the hardest. Why? Because it's travel again. You got to get on a plane and go to it. And look, you're not going to face hostility because the crowd, obviously, with the pandemic. But as far as the game itself, I fully expect New Orleans to win. I think a big return, what nobody's talking about, is Terran Armstead is coming back today for the
Mm,
Saints, and I think that's
nice.
going to give you stability. That's going to give you stability on that side of the line, and Taysom is going to be allowed to do more things than he's been able to. I can't. I wish he would get rid of the habit of just tucking and running. It's like, dude, use your arm, whatever. But the other unknown is Jalen Hurts because the Saints don't know what they're going to see. I mean, and Doug Peterson is a master coach. We know this. He's Sean Payton, or want to be Sean Payton, but he's not. I fully expect New Orleans, even with all that, y'all, to win this football game. Yesterday, I was on Dragon State Sports Saturday, and I gave a score of 27-10 New Orleans. And it's not an indictment on Jalen Hurts. I just look at what the personnel groupings are, and New Orleans defense should overwhelm the offense of the Philadelphia Eagles. I don't see anybody on the Eagles that scares me, and I expect the Saints to handle business.
Absolutely. I say the same thing too. Sometimes we know the Saints, sometimes they start off rusty. If they start on fire, it's gonna be a long day for Philadelphia in itself. Jared, your thoughts on the Eagles and Saints? You seen Jalen Hurts in action? You're Alabama big time to Crimson Tide fan more than anything else. I know you love college football.
Nick Saban, Nick Saban, Nick Saban.
Nick Saban. Wow. See, if you was diehard Alabama Crimson Tide fan, you would have known who was the head coach when he won the national championship in 1993.
Anyway, let's go ahead. That's why I said
If
Nick
I
Saban. You see,
college, George, you'd have lost money. I already know. But your thoughts on Jalen Hurts and his chances today?
Well, he's going up against the number one defense in the NFL, so that's a challenge in itself. Number two, the Eagles are gonna want to use his mobility to make plays. So it's very important that the Saints contain him inside the pocket and do not let him get outside. If he gets outside the pocket, it could be dangerous for the Saints defense. Now, with that being said, I don't see the Eagles winning this game. I believe the Saints will stick to a game plan to keep him contained, put lots of pressure on him, and make things hard for him today. So I have the Saints winning this game, Um, Jalen Hurts going to make some plays, but it won't be a lot. You're going to see a lot of the RPOs with the Philly Eagles today with Jalen Hurts at quarterback. A lot of the read options is what we're going to see. But like I said, we keep them contained. Don't let them get outside the pocket. This will be a good day for the Saints.
I can agree with that. I think the Saints could have a real good day today. I think Philadelphia, they're going to play hard, but at the same time, I think if the Saints come out on fire like they did a couple weeks ago, it should be a big win. But George, I gotta agree, it might be a tough day, and it depends on the weather too. If the weather is cold or not. But at the same time, three straight road games, pretty tough for the Saints. This might be tough. You know, slow start, but the Saints win. Slow start, but the Saints win. Bottom
Yep.
line. Now, if the Saints keep winning, I believe they win the division if they win today. Am I
Well,
right?
if Minnesota wins right now, which Tampa just scored to go ahead 7-6, but if the Vikings win that game at Tampa, the division's over. Saints win it without having to play. Well, they're going to play, but without having the need to win. But if I'm the Saints, you got much bigger fish to fry than the NFC South. Look at Kansas City next week. This is the only trepidation today for me because you got those guys coming in here next week, and they're struggling right now. Kansas City, by the way, at Miami, Mahomes has already giving them two interceptions, and Tyreek Hill just scored on an end around. So, anyway,
Hmm.
you got coming to your house next week, and Taysom Hill's going to play all day today. I mean, you would expect. And there was some catcalls about, well, Drew should go this week. No, no, let that dude heal. Kansas City is going to be what they are next week. I think the Saints can win that game next week if you put number 9 back there. But I'm reading today. I don't know if you guys have seen on the spheres that Drew may not go next week against Kansas City, and that changes the narrative really a little bit. If Taysom Hill goes under center against Kansas City and not Drew Brees, because I would love the Saints chances, even with their defense, with number 9 behind center than number 7.
Hmm. I agree with that. All I'm gonna tell you is this here: the Saints win today in Kansas City. Wins today. All I can tell you is Super Bowl preview. Super Bowl preview. That's all I can say. Going into the
Let me
next week if this happens.
let me
So
piggyback off of
go ahead, JB.
off of what George said about Drew Brees. More than likely, he's not going to play. When they tested him this week, he still had pain and discomfort throwing the football. So more than likely, we're not going to see Drew play next week. And I mean, I know the number one seed is very, very important, but at the same time, I think you want your best quarterback healthy and ready to go for the playoffs.
I'm like this. Save Breeze to the playoffs. That's all I can say. As long as Taysom Hill don't make too many mistakes, save him to the playoffs. Maybe I'm gonna say this right now. Save Breeze to the last game of the year. Let him play 2-3 series to get himself a little bit acclimated again with his team, and then you sit him, get him ready for the playoffs. You got to have some kind of rotation, some playing time a little bit, because I remember years ago with the Kansas City Chiefs, years ago, when Elvis Grbac was the quarterback, and they had one of the best records in the league. Grbac got hurt, but Steve Bono got up in there and won I think it was 7 straight games. They went on a streak. And then all of a sudden, Grbac was healthy. They bring him back, but at the same time, it's like my thing was why you don't stick the guy that they really got you the way you were, and then wound up biting him in the butt. But at the same time, I'm like, hey, you want to bring back Breeze? I'm not saying keep Taysom all the way. Bring back Breeze somewhere, somehow, maybe at the end of the year, get some time, get him ready, and then go with Breeze in the playoffs. But like I said, by hook by crook, Super Bowl is the goal for the Saints, especially for the future. Because looking down the line, and I always said, if the Saints win this Super Bowl this year, Breeze is done. Breeze is done, and to me, the Saints ought to be looking at 2 quarterbacks. They need to target to bring them into the franchise, because I don't know if they're gonna get it in the draft. But the 2 quarterbacks I'm gonna say and they talk about, and I'm gonna say this right now. For one, Dak Prescott, And for 2, Matthew Stafford. Look at those 2. I'm telling you now, they come to the Saints. Though one of those 2 quarterbacks come to the Saints, it's over for the NFC South for the next about 3-4 years. It's over. It's over.
I'm gonna say this. We got to look at the cap situation because the cap is going down for next season,
Yeah.
and you got to look at Michael Thomas's money. You got to look at Alvin Kamara's money, and you got to look at everybody else. You got to try to resign. Ramsey. I think Armstead is up for a contract extension. Marshawn Lattimore is going to be up too. So you got a lot of people that you got to resign. So the quarterback issue is a main issue. The question is, can we pay Dak 30-something million? Can we pay Matthew Stafford 30-something million? Or are we going to keep Jameis and Taysom as our future? So it's a lot of options in the air on what they have to do and who they have to resign or let go.
Yeah, and that's understandability. But I'm like this, man. Taysom could be the future if he keeps getting better. Taysom could be. Jameis, I'm like this. I'm going with a for sure with Stafford and Dak than freaking a person that's an interception waiting to happen. Just saying. Just saying. I'm not trying. I'm trying my best. I know Saints fans try to kind of get on me and all, but I'm sorry, bro. I did not like the signing with Jameis, and I still don't like it, and that's why he's not starting now. When you're not grasping the offense, that's not a good sign. It's not a good sign.
You don't know if he was grasping or not grasping. You don't know. What if? Now hear me out. Hear me out. You could disagree. You could disagree. It's all good. But what if management came down to Sean Payton and told Sean Payton, "Hey, look, we paying Taysom Hill $21 million for the next 2 years. Let's start him, and we could keep Jameis next year for less money than what we would pay him, or risk losing him to another team because we don't want what happened last year with Teddy to happen again." What if that happened?
Now, I'm gonna say this. You make a good point. You make a very good point because somebody pointed that out before, and I can agree with that because maybe management did say something. Because the fact of the matter is, we did give an extension to Taysom Hill. We did give him an extension for that much money. So maybe management might have been a part of this. I still don't trust it. I'm thinking one side of it, my biggest question is with Jameis, did the LASIK really fix his vision? We will see. But regardless of the fact of the matter is, but down the line, the future of the Saints is going to happen, especially if the Saints win the Super Bowl. Saints win the Super Bowl, it's going to be a whole lot of stuff going on in the offseason. So,
well, the one guarantee, if they win the Super Bowl, and I don't think that's a guarantee because I see a team in the NFC that I think is the Saints equal, and that's the Rams. With that running game and with Jared Goff and that defense and Aaron Donald, that could be a very tough challenge. But let's suppose the Saints win the Super Bowl. Let's suppose they do. Drew Brees, I don't think it's going to take winning a Super Bowl for Drew to retire. He's done at the end of this year. Because when you talk about it before the year started, when you even entertain the thought, you're halfway out the door. So I think Drew's finished no matter what, win or lose. Now, that being said, your idea of Matthew Stafford and Dak Prescott, I'm good with that. I can be good with that. The thing with Taysom Hill, though, it's $21 million, $21 million over the next 2 years, as Jared says, and astutely points out. Listen, if Sean Payton's one word, I mean, he's a great coach, but he's also petty. He's like, you know what, damn what you guys think. I'm going to do what I want because I think the world of Taysom Hill. Here's my problem. To make a comparison of him to Steve Young, that's like saying I can't even think of an anecdote right now, but that's silly. I don't think it's anywhere near that. If it were me, if I'm going through the draft, there's a guy I absolutely look. There's no man crush or anything like that, but that young man at BYU, Zach Wilson, the quarterback at BYU, looks like a Saints quarterback. They'll never get him at the end of the first round. They'll never get him. They'd have to trade up and go up. I don't know what Jeff Ireland or Mickey Loomis are going to do, but If it were me, Dak Prescott would be my first option. But the thing I would check the medics, make doggone sure that leg is getting right, and see if he could take a hometown discount, a 3 year or 4 year, 3 year with an option. And I mean, pay the man his money, but until that leg is proven right, backload the contract, offer him a backloaded contract to make sure he's good. That's the guy I want. I think the world of Dak Prescott. Some don't, but I do. I think he could be an outstanding quarterback with this team if the Saints go that route.
And the one quarterback I'm thinking is well in college, and I wish he would come out this year and he would be perfect for the Saints, and that's Sam Howell of North Carolina. And when I say this dude can play, this dude, and I'm like this, he's 10 times better than Mitchell Trubisky was at Carolina.
Without a
This
doubt.
dude is ridiculous. And you seen what he did yesterday against Miami. And we'll talk about that in a second. Ridiculous. So regardless of the fact, down the line, Saints got a future, but we'll see. Hopefully the Saints will get it done today. Let's move on a bit. LSU last night. Big shout out to all my people who's checking it on Facebook Live and also on YouTube.com as well. D Dexter, I see you up in here. The Tantalizer 111, I see you up in here. Brian Cannon, I see you up in here. Appreciate it. And continue to come on and continue to, just share it, like whatever, so people can come on and watch. Now LSU, what a game last night. The Tigers showing a lot of grit and then some against Florida. They get the win last night, 34-31, and Florida had a chance at the end to tie the ball game, and Florida missed the field goal. And I tell you, the Gators have one of the best kickers in the country, and this fool missed the kick, and I believe it was 35 yards.
51. 51.
51. Wow. Missed it. And you talking about? I was talking about Florida's kicker.
Yeah, 51.
51. Yeah, he missed that one. Cade York hits it from 49 for the
57.
win. 57. 57?
LSU was 57.
Yeah.
LSU was 57.
School record, yes.
57 yards. Man, don't mind me, man. It's been a long night. But when I say
we got your back.
For LSU, and then a missed field goal for Florida, I mean, unbelievable. What a win for LSU. Max Johnson played an unbelievable game for his first start. I believe Finley was hurt or something like that because he didn't start yesterday. I don't know what happened with that. I don't know if Finley was hurt or Finley was benched.
Wow.
But I'll talk about the Finley thing in a second. But besides all that, what are your thoughts? Let's start with you, Jared, on LSU getting the win last night, especially the performance of Max Johnson and the Tigers. What a performance, especially a huge win for Coach Orgeron.
Well, can I say this? Can the LSU Tigers thank Marco Wilson for the unsportsmanlike conduct for throwing a shoe 20 yards? Because Florida stopped him on a 3rd and 6. They stopped him. And they get the ball back about a minute and something. And Florida probably would have drove down the field, got closer, and kick a field goal maybe in that fog. There was heavy fog in that second half. But that's the reason right there. It was a back and forth game. Both defenses couldn't stop the other's offense. Yes, Trask looked good. Max Johnson looked wonderful. Even the running game with Price and Emery was going. They looked good for a change, in my opinion. And just to have a stupid mistake that you got to be aware of in certain situations. You got to keep your composure. I know you felt great. You got to stop. But, man, that could kill momentum for any team. And throwing up the shoe by Marco Wilson just pretty much dropped the ball. And Florida still had a chance. They missed the field goal. And on that whole drive, when they got the ball back with 23 seconds, to me, Bo Pelini played too soft. The coverage was too soft with just 23 seconds left. And Florida got past midfield within 2 passes. So luckily, yes, he missed that field goal, but it's a different story if Marco Wilson did not throw that shoe.
And I
Completely
think
agree, Jared. Because if he doesn't throw the shoe, Florida gets the ball back with 2 timeouts. In contrast, already shredding LSU's defense. Look, Bo Pelini was the worst hire of any coordinator in America this year to me. And last night, in that situation, first of all, you had the ball with Cade York, run the clock down, make Florida burn their timeouts. Nah, man, you're getting too cute. Stop that. You've got the ball. You got a chance to possess it and finish this game off. And Florida would have never got the ball back. Never. They would have never got it back. But Cade York strokes a 57-yarder. Good for him. I mean, he's got a big leg. I wonder what it is with LSU kickers kicking field goals like that and then not getting a sniff at the NFL. But that's another story. But that being said, Marco Wilson, bless your heart, cat. To sling a shoe like that, I don't know what was it, a LeBron shoe or what? I don't even know. Jordan, I don't even know. So
Nike Vapor, please shoe.
that's pure silliness. But yeah, I agree with you, Jared, about the call at the end defensively. And look, defensive coordinators get paid a lot of money to impact. Mo Pelini has done none of that in this year at LSU, and credit LSU for the win, y'all. Look,
Yeah,
because nobody raise your hand if you thought they were going to win that game yesterday. Stop it if you do. Don't. No, but not even if Max. And look, Max Johnson. I'll say this about him. He played a heck of a football game. He was a controlled person, but his DNA works. His daddy was Brad Johnson, who played at that fake university in Tallahassee. Uh, I'm sorry. I'm just goofing around. But no, free shoes you. That's what they call them, right? But anyway, no, just jokes around. But no, Max Johnson, it's all good. But no, Max Johnson is I think a good quarterback. Uh, I don't know what happened with Finley. I'm not privy to what's going on in Baton Rouge as far as injuries, or maybe they wanted to see what they got with Max. And I tell you what, they wanted to see what they got with him. They got a pretty good sample size. But LSU fan, let's not be reactionary. That's one football game, not 16. That's one. So let's see what he does against Ole Miss, which will be their last game of the season. And the bowl thing, the banishing themselves from the bowl, that's a completely different topic. I've got strong opinions on, but we'll leave that alone.
right, exactly. And the thing is, you look at it, a great performance by the Tigers all around. I think the Max Johnson, I mean, like, yeah, it's in his blood. Brad Johnson's son, he did very well. I think it's a bright future for LSU offensively, especially at quarter. TJ Finley and Max Johnson, that's the future of the Tigers going into the next season and the next couple of years.
somebody
So,
transferring.
huh?
Somebody
Yeah,
going to transfer. One of the two.
I'm like this. This is going to lead to an interesting spring football, and whoever comes out the winner stays. The winner's going to go. The loser going to go.
Loser.
Exactly. Winner stays, loser goes. So that's what's going to be with those two because somebody's got to transfer. Because the fact both quarterbacks, especially what Max Johnson did last night, he is as talented and good as TJ. So let's just be real on that one. But for Bo Pelini, I'm gonna say this: yeah, the coverage was soft. He should have sent the blitz, but he did a better job last night than anything else because the Tigers made a lot of big plays defensively last night. We did not see that all year. We did not see that hardly all year. They forced 4 turnovers, like, and then they made some key stops.
Four
So for the
turnovers,
first
but
time,
still
I
almost
can
lost the
say
game though. When you have
that's
four
true.
turnovers, you're supposed to win.
Not that's true, but LSU's defense was a little tired too now after all the stuff they did on that field. Now, correct. Now, I'm not trying to say that Bo Pelini, he almost did lose the game. He should have maybe said a little blitz. I'm gonna say that, but this was probably his best game to date this year. The way he called that ball game, because and then not just that, I give some of the Pelini, but I think, and I said it myself, some of the personnel was not that good in his scheme. So you put different players, see what happens. You know what I'm saying? Sometimes it might be the coordinator, sometimes it might be other players, and sometimes the 4 5 stars might not be as good as you think. So just being real about it. But credit LSU, credit for the win. But here's another question I want to bring up. a friend of mine, and I'm not gonna say his name. He was talking about maybe this might be a Jamarcus Russell curse because it seems like it seemed like the African American quarterbacks after Jamarcus seemed like nothing ain't really happened. It seemed like he was maybe the last great one, the last great quarterback. I kind of disagree a bit because I was like, I feel what you're saying about the Jamarcus thing, and I hope it's not a curse, but it could be true. But I say Jamarcus, I don't think he was as good as a Rohan Davey. So
He was
I
better.
was going with you, George. Like, who was better out of Rohan Davey and Russell, man? Because I'm like, to me, he's leaning towards Jamarcus, but I was like, dude, did you see Rohan Davey highlights? Come on, man. He was more accurate in a little bit. And the biggest thing about Russell's weakness was his accuracy. His accuracy was not all that up to snuff. So, and I said it myself before he got to the NFL, that was going to catch up with him, especially that and his timing. And that's why he became a bust in the NFL. Your thoughts?
As far as who I would take between Rohan Davey and Jamarcus Russell, that's an interesting question because, and it's an easy answer. It's Rohan Davey, not even close. Jamarcus Russell had the physical attributes. Big guy, can throw it from here to Texas. Had an arm, has ridiculous arm strength. But the one thing he did not have that Rohan Davey did, grit, heart. Jamarcus Russell had no heart. You could look at the 25-4 record that he had at LSU, which he won 25 of it. Like I said, 25-4 record. That you could say what you want about that, but look what happened when he got to the NFL. He stole. Look, there's one of the great rants of our time. Stephen A. Smith went off on Jamarcus, said he should be arrested for robbery. He's right. $40 million of thievery. I didn't want no part of Jamarcus Russell. Now about the curse part, there's a thing called ability, regardless of what your skin tone is. You know, whether you're black, white, or whatnot. If you have it, you have it. Since Jamarcus Russell, look, I think TJ Finley's another big guy, but I think he needs to be coached up right. He had a good coach in high school. I don't think he's got one at LSU. And just look at anybody, a housewife could have coached that team last year and won the national title. But just getting back to the curse part, I don't believe it's a curse. I just believe it's about ability. When you recruit a player, it's all about what they can do, Derek, on the field, but mostly how they carry themselves off the field as well. I want my guy, if I'm recruiting you, hey man, I want your parents to be proud of you. I want you to worry about your school studies and everything else. I don't want you worrying about, Tipitinas and all them, the nonsense and all that crazy. The heck with that. That's on your time. But when you're at LSU, it's about getting your mind right and building building your adult.
All right, Jared, your thoughts. What do you think?
When we talking about collegiate career, who would I take? I'm taking Jamarcus Russell. Now, yes, they both led LSU to Sugar Bowl victories, but when I'm going with talent in the collegiate level, out of these two, I'm rolling with Jamarcus Russell, hands down. That's just my opinion. I thought he was a great quarterback at LSU. Just the fact that he got to the pros, didn't care anymore, didn't watch film, this and that. That's on him, and that's why he's a bust. Now back to this Jamarcus Russell curse on black quarterbacks at LSU. I'm going to say I disagree with that totally. I don't think it's a curse. I just don't think maybe we that they've gotten the right quarterback for years, and then come to black quarterback, the last great black quarterback they probably would have had if he had his head on straight and didn't have off the field problems would have been Ryan Perrilloux,
Oh,
hands
no doubt.
down.
Mm.
Ryan Perrilloux would have
I
been
agree.
LSU Hall of Famer, jersey retired, would have got them another national championship, hands down. Jordan Jefferson, in my eyes, was a good quarterback. I just think the system didn't fit him. That's my opinion.
And,
And
and I agree with that. And going to Jamarcus, and I'm gonna say this with George Jefferson on this one, and I'm gonna agree with you on that. But I really thought, and I still blame LSU. they made Jordan Jefferson what they wasn't.
When he
And
wasn't a running
a
quarterback,
lot of
correct?
the parish people agree. A
Oh yeah,
lot of people agree. Because knowing what I seen at Destrehan, I said it on a VK Jones show years ago. Go look up Destrehan football, and it will show you what he was. LSU turned him something that he wasn't, and there was that system that tore him down. And to me, and I tell any LSU people hate him all they want, but I'm like this: you need to check yourself at the freaking door. Check yourself at the door, because I'm not buying it. But go ahead, Jared. Go ahead and continue with that. I
yeah.
just
Like
wanted
I
to say
said,
that because when you said Jordan,
yeah,
I'm glad
Jordan
you did.
Jefferson. Yeah, it wasn't a good fit. He was a pure drop back quarterback. They want him to be a running quarterback. It just didn't fit. Um, we go to his name. I can't think of his name, but he transferred to ULL. Same thing to me. Wasn't a good fit with LSU. But I think TJ Finley has the capability, the athletic ability to be the next big thing at LSU. But that will tell itself in time. I agree with George. Needs a little bit more help at the quarterback position. Just being able to read defenses and everything. He's young. He's going to get better. But we will see.
And when he was in high school, TJ Finley, I know he had a great coach at Hank Tierney, who actually did the same exact thing with that kind of ability in 1998. Did the same exact thing at Shaw. Changed the offense for Derek Joseph. Knowing Derek Joseph, he know he can run, but he can throw that football and
Yes.
has weapons. So credit, big time credit going to Hank Tierney because he knew what he had and he was like, "Oh, he ain't just gonna run the ball. We going to throw this monster because this boy can throw the football, and we need to get it to our weapons." So that's smart for Tierney, but I think, and I agree with you, George, that LSU got to coach up a little bit, and I think things got better with LSU coaching wise last year with Insminger and also
Joe Brady.
Joe Brady, and I wish he'd be back. Scott Linehan, and I'll give him a little credit. I really thought I didn't think that he would work, but right now he's doing the best he can with what he has, and he's doing okay. But yeah, they're gonna have to coach up TJ if he's gonna become better. But it's gonna be interesting between TJ and Max. But I don't know if there's a curse. It's interesting though. It is interesting because the brothers ain't. Some of them ain't getting a fair shake, and some just didn't work. It just depends, but it's just crazy with it. But regardless of that, college football action yesterday. Some
Hmm.
great games, like besides LSU. How about the North Carolina Tar Heels yesterday? Wow, what a show against Miami on the road in in the Miami Gardens, 62-26. Big victory for the Tar Heels. I mean, I'm shocked at that performance. This reminded me of what the Saints did to Tampa Bay a couple weeks ago. I mean, just on fire. Defense finally stopping people. Finally for the Tar Heels. Because they've been very maligned all year long. And then the way things were going, I mean, my goodness. George, let me start with you with the Tar Heels and the way they stumped on Miami yesterday.
That was one of my best bets of the season. North Carolina was getting points at Miami. I thought, are you kidding me? Have y'all not watched this quarterback Powell play? This dude is freaking outstanding. Okay, he's a star. Mac Brown has done a monster job at North Carolina, and look what they've got. One of the more premier offenses in the country, I think. Now, defensively, phew, there's more holes than Swiss cheese on that defense. And a Miami offense that, quite honestly, the Eric King is good, but he's sometimes, he's not a guy that's as consistent as I want him to be. Like at Houston, Dana Holgerson tapped into that potential at Houston when he was there, and then King just left and came to Miami. But defense, look, the game yesterday, I'm not surprised North Carolina won. The fact that they put up 62 points against that Miami defense, Manny Diaz is a good defensive mind coach, and they got run badly. Uh, but that being said, North Carolina is an underrated football team. This is a team that in a bowl game They're going to be motivated, and I don't know if I want to play them. Whoever has to guard them in a bowl this year, I don't know if I want to play them, Jared, because that offense is lethal. I mean, ridiculously lethal.
Over 700 yards of offense, 500 on the ground, 300, over 300 and what, 30 something yards for one of the backs. And that was Michael Carter, 308. And then 260 for Williams, Javante Williams. And man, all I'm gonna tell you is this: when they was going in the third quarter, that first drive of the second half. When I say the game was really over, that's when the game was over because they had a couple of penalties on Carolina, and Carolina on run plays getting the penalty yards back on that one drive. They melted 7 minutes off the clock. Then on top of that, and I know you've seen this run, Jared.
I saw them
Javante
all.
Williams
I
get
saw
that.
them all.
No, I'm talking about a particular one. When Javante Williams had that long run, he trucked the Miami player, shook another one, and almost got into the end zone. I was thinking what Jim Ross said between Undertaker and Mankind. Stop the match! Stop the match! Ring the bell! Ring the bell! That's all I thought about after that play. I was like, game over. Your thoughts, Jared?
My thoughts was this. Oh, they just called a hell. They called a pass interference on a Hail Mary in the Bucks Vikings game. Wow. But anyway,
Wow.
all right. Um, um, my thoughts was this. I was shocked Miami was the underdog, even though they're on the road. If they was at home, they would have been a 4 point favorite. It was a 3 point underdog at in Miami. But if you haven't seen Miami's offense and the amount of points they're putting up, compared not Miami, North Carolina,
Mm-hmm.
the amount of points they put up every game, just about in comparison to Miami, this was a no-brainer to me. I even picked North Carolina to win. I was not expecting over 700 yards of total offense for North Carolina against Miami. I wasn't expecting that. But this is when one coach outcoached another. They saw something on film and they just exploited it. Two running backs over 200 yards. That's unheard of. A quarterback with over 200 something yards passing. This was a total beatdown. And I don't know if
And here's some tidbits, Jared, before you continue. Here's some tidbits. For one, Manny Diaz was who was his former boss years ago as defensive coordinator.
that's what I was getting to before you cut me off.
I'm sorry. I'm sorry. My bad, brother. Because I thought, but I know you're knowledgeable.
Yeah.
But before you continue with that, besides that, I know you're gonna say that. But another thing was, there was a game long time ago between that time and whatever. But explain that. Go ahead, continue. Because
Okay. All right.
that really added everything to it.
Yeah. So we know Manny Diaz was Mac Jones defensive coordinator at Texas for a little bit,
Matt
and
Brown.
Mac Brown. Excuse me. Yeah, Mac Brown.
That's all.
And I don't remember what game it was and who they played, but it was an embarrassment, and he fired Manny Diaz right after that game.
That was BYU and Taysom Hill's at quarterback,
Yeah.
and they had over 500 yards of offense, mostly on the ground.
Yes. So he got fired. So yes, Mac Brown knows the system that Manny Diaz has. He knows it, plain and simple, and he just exploited whatever coverage or assignments that was given to that defense. Exploited it. You got to give Mac Brown a lot of credit for what he has done in North Carolina. Even the recruiting to get this amount of talent at North Carolina. I haven't seen this much talent at North Carolina since Butch Jones was there. Even though some of the things Butch Jones was doing was illegal over there, but Mac Brown is getting the talent, and they were picked to go to the ACC title game this year before COVID happened and Notre Dame came. But I'm really looking forward to North Carolina come next season. I really am. I think they're gonna. I mean, they have put the world on notice, but I think they're gonna even make more people aware that they are here and going to be here for a long time, as long as Mac Brown is a coach and he can keep getting the recruits.
Mac Brown is in his second tenure at North Carolina. He's had talent before. He's doing it again. Great players he has right now. I think North Carolina was more battle ready after all the tough games they had earlier this year and the couple of losses that they had. I know the Notre Dame loss was something. They played, I believe they played Clemson and didn't last too good. And then all of a sudden the Florida State game. And basically, yeah, you could say it was a blue game. But at the same time, Florida State owns Mac Brown. Mac Brown one of these days will beat Carolina, but we don't know when. But he'll do it. But it just wasn't this year. Just wasn't in the cards, you know. But they're hoping that it'll happen next year if they play in Chapel Hill. But besides all that, North Carolina has a great future down the line, and I mean they're going to be unbelievable. But the game is going to be bigger if Miami and North Carolina go at it again next year because De'Aaron King talking about potentially coming back.
He
And
has
that
to.
happens. Miami returns a lot of folks. The ACC is going to be a lot more tougher than people think it's going to be next year. So we'll see what happens, man. The U, not there yet. Not there yet, buddy. Still got a long way to go. And I say to myself, if Miami's going to be truly back, we'll see what happens when De'Aaron King leaves. That's what we're going to see if Miami's really back. De'Aaron King kind of reminds me of Cam Newton at Auburn. And we thought Gene Chizik was a genius. And Gene Chizik turned out to be very overrated and cost him his job. Sometimes talent gets you over, but not for too long. So, but regardless of the fact, before we move on to the LHSAA playoffs, college football playoffs are coming up soon. The conference championships are going up next week. Great games last night. USC with the great comeback with the win. But we got his conference championships coming up. Ohio State, Big Ten, some way, somehow, made a rule for them to get in. Now we're gonna start with you, George. And I'm like this. I'm gonna say my thoughts right quick. I'm gonna let you go and let Jared get it too. My thoughts is this, and I'm gonna say this right now. The Big Ten is wrong what they're doing. I don't care about this COVID stuff. It's just showing that the Big Ten showing that they're dictators because you got a whole bunch. You got a couple Big Ten people that's in the committee. They did what they can to try to get Ohio State to extend. My thing is this: I hope egg falls on Ohio State's face and they lose to Northwestern and they don't get nobody from the Big Ten. In Cincinnati, they win against Tulsa. They slide right into the playoffs. Your thoughts?
As far as the Big Ten is what they've done, look, at the end of the day, it's about the mighty dollar. And we're hating on that. No. Do I agree with the principle of it? No, I don't. But do I blame the Big Ten for reneging and getting a football season to patch together? No, I don't blame them for any of that. And again, the only thing I disagree with is the principle. If you say you're not going to play because you're worried about COVID and everything else, and have y'all seen the numbers in the Midwest in the Big Ten cities? I mean, it's out of control. It's a miracle that we've gotten this far to this point. Now, to the debate about Ohio State. Look, when you evaluate playoff teams, guys, you evaluate on the eye test. What do you see? What have you seen from Ohio State that makes you think they're one of the four best teams in the NCAA? Who have they beaten of any relevance in the Big Ten? Look at the conference as a whole. Indiana's improved, and I hate that Penix is hurt. But they still had an impressive win last week. That's the only really good team. You don't know what you got with them because they've had COVID issues. Northwestern, they're roadkill. I mean, they're good, but I don't like their chances against Ohio State. So if the Buckeyes do what they're supposed to, they're in the playoff, whether you like it or not. That's the committee. The committee has a set idea: Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State. Those are your three standard bearers when it comes to picking a playoff team. Now, that could all change, of course, if Northwestern finds the heart and beats Ohio State. They're a 21-point underdog, by the way, Northwestern is. And that basically tells you Justin Fields will have his way. That's a guy that's going to be a star the next week too. But Darren, I'm like this, bro. I mean, I I'm the ultimate anti Ohio State guy, but you got to call it like you see it. When you look at them play, where's the argument that they're not one of the best four teams in the country? I mean, I hope they lose to Northwestern at Cincinnati, and I love what Cincinnati's done, but dude, the eye test tells me the Buckeyes are one of the best four.
I totally agree with everything that you just said. I test tells me the same thing that they're one of the best four.
Mhm.
Um, I don't. What the Big Ten did, I don't have a problem with it. I understand how Vashawn's looking at it. I totally do. I
Me
get
too.
it. But when the Big Ten is saying, hey, if Ohio State don't play a sixth game and can't play in the Big Ten championship, they don't go to the college football playoff, and we don't get that check. Yeah, let's change this rule right quick. Yeah, well, we want that.
Exactly.
We want that money. So yeah, and let's not forget the ACC did a rule change too. 2 weeks ago, or last week, when they told Clemson and Notre Dame, this is your last regular season game. You guys are not going to play until 2 weeks for the ACC championship. So they didn't play last week. They canceled their game. Reason why? They didn't want to risk COVID for that ACC championship game to where anybody on their teams catch COVID, and then all of a sudden, do we postpone the ACC championship game? What does that do for the playoff rankings? So that's twice rules have been changed. Now, with all that being said, with the eye test and everything, I want everybody to look at one thing. This team is not being mentioned as maybe one of the best teams in the nation, and they're undefeated, and that is USC. Now, we can say the same thing about who have they played, this and that, Pac-12's week. I understand all that. I get it. But what if they win their conference game next week? They finish what, 6-0, 7-0, and
Six and
let's
oh.
just 6-0. And let's
Mhm.
just say Ohio State loses. Does the committee look at the Pac-12 and say, well, they're the conference champs? Let's jump them over undefeated Cincinnati or our state or Oklahoma that wins the Big 12? It can happen.
It could happen, but I think that'd be ludicrous. And it would be really ludicrous because the fact of the matter is that USC, and I get what they're doing, they're having a good year, but the Pac 12 has showed their weakness and they're beating each other up. You really don't have a true. And USC, you might as well give them the freaking trophy because this Pac 12 this year has been so freaking wild. It's just like the Big 12. You don't have a definite team. Everybody's getting beat up. And everybody, and you see Colorado. Colorado had a chance to get in. And look what they did. Wet the freaking bed at home against Utah. So it's just a fact of the matter is it'd be ludicrous for USC to go. Maybe it might happen. I don't know, but it'd be ludicrous. Cincinnati and the American Conference, who's finally getting some respect. That is a good conference. People don't remember 5 years ago when that same American Conference had 3 wins non-conference against the SEC. People forgetting that. That's a good conference, and that conference should be a consideration not just for the playoff, but be one of those teams outside the Power Five to have a chance to get in the playoff. They need to get that respect. This is the time now. But if Ohio State wins, yeah, they gonna get in there. But I'm hoping they lose Cincinnati slightly. But here's another scenario that could be crazy. What if Alabama loses? I don't think it's gonna happen. But what if Florida has a huge bounce back and they give Alabama the business, and some way somehow Florida pulls off the upset? Now, does Florida get a berth or they don't get a
No,
berth?
No,
Because
no,
I
they
know
they they don't they
losing
don't get a
yesterday
berth.
kind of mess things
They
up.
they don't get a berth because of this. 2 losses, and they lost to Texas A&M.
that's right.
Alabama beat A&M. No way they're gonna hop A&M over Alabama. Alabama to me is in regardless. They've been the best
Exactly.
team the whole year.
Yep.
In regardless. Okay. The one thing I can say I can agree on it. Most times I would say no, but at the same time, Jared, you're right. They have been the best team and most consistent all year. So yeah, I would put Alabama in as a one. I might not like it, but with one loss, yeah, I'll put Alabama in. Alabama, but I would give Alabama more of a shot to get in with a one loss than an Ohio State team that just giving chances after chances.
I agree with that.
Yeah, that's just me in general, but it's gonna be interesting down the line. These conference. George, you got something? Go ahead.
I'm going to put this Cincinnati argument to bed right here. Jared, I want to see which side you take. Y'all remember, flashback 1 year ago. Cincinnati went to Columbus, Ohio, and played Ohio State. Do y'all remember what happened that day?
Yes.
Yes.
43-7. Ohio State put it on Cincy. 1 year later, Cincinnati is now undefeated. They've had some COVID issues, but everybody has. We're living in unprecedented times. Are you telling me now you're gonna Cincinnati deserves to be in the playoff? They've done they've done yeoman's work, but who are they playing in that championship game? Tulsa. To me, if you're playing somebody better than Tulsa, look, Tulsa just fell into that game. I think SMU went to bed a couple of times.
Hey,
I thought SMU
hey, I don't know about that. This is the same Tulsa team that should have beat Oklahoma State in the season opener.
and the same Tulsa that
And
should
a
have lost to
good Tulsa
Tulane.
team.
That should have lost to Tulane.
They
That is
should have
correct.
lost. I
That
agree
is
with that.
correct.
But they're a good team though. I can't say Tulsa. You make a good point, George. But Tulsa's a good team. It ain't no team to sleep on. The American Conference is a good
Mhm.
conference. But go ahead, George. Continue.
It is a good conference. Look, this isn't the argument. The argument is who are the four best teams. And you're painting a scenario to where if Alabama gets, I don't think if they lose by 50, they'll be out of the playoff. They can't because what they've done this year. I mean, yesterday means nothing. 52-3, they waylaid Arkansas, smoked them. They were supposed to. Alabama has maybe the Heisman favorite on their roster in Mac Jones. You painted a scenario about USC, Jared, and I'm interested in that because I saw USC come back 18 points down on the road and come back against your rival and win. That's character.
Mm-hmm.
Now,
Yeah.
Pac-12 is garbage. I mean, we agree that it's a bad conference.
Yeah.
Now, they play Washington next week, and they should beat Washington. They can name their score. But that being said, how do they get into the playoff? Uh, so right now, who's for?
Ohio State.
Ohio State. They're not going to lose to Northwestern. The only way to the playoff for USC is if Ohio State gets beat by Northwestern, or if Notre Dame beats Clemson. Because can you put a two-loss Clemson over an undefeated USC? I wouldn't.
I wouldn't either.
I
Yeah.
don't think you can see in the playoff in that scenario.
Right. And the thing about that, and the ACC championship, is it elimination? Could be elimination for Clemson if they lose again. But if Clemson wins, Notre Dame and Clemson will get in. We'll have two from the ACC. That's bottom line. And everything else is going to be interesting to see right there. USC, I would not sleep against Washington because
No.
USC has been kind of up and down regardless of the defeated record. They had to win about 4 of those games in the fourth quarter. So I wouldn't sleep on the Washington Huskies. I wouldn't be surprised if the Washington Huskies might come to LA Stadium and do my field goal and win the Pac-12. So I wouldn't even be surprised at that. That USC, great comeback, good team. But they got to play 4 quarters to stay undefeated because we haven't seen that too much yet for USC. So that's just on that one. But regardless of the fact, it's going to be interesting to see conference championship weekend what will happen, and especially with the selection. But like I said, if Ohio State wins, well, they're in. But if Northwestern wins and Florida wins, we're gonna have a lot of chaos, a whole lot of chaos. And honestly, I hope that I love chaos. I love chaos. That's just me. And 2020 has not been the year I thought it was going to be with all this chaos. As we go now to the LHSAA playoffs, and we'll talk about all these finals and all that good stuff. But I'm gonna ask a quick question before we get to that. Jared, I'm gonna start with you right quick. On the college basketball subject, what are your thoughts so far on the season of college basketball early? There's been some interesting things so far, some COVID issues, but what are your thoughts so far on college basketball?
Pretty interesting right now. Pretty interesting. We've had some upsets. We've had a couple good games, but right now, if I have to actually who I think is the best player, not best player, best team in the nation, the team that's looked the best to me is Gonzaga. And I'm not the biggest Gonzaga fan, but from watching them play so far this year, Gonzaga looks the best as of right now.
Okay, George.
I would cancel the season. Just just me. I mean, basketball is so much harder to put together than football. You talk about a more elongated season, 30 games or whatnot, and then you got the NCAA tournament to where you're trying to make it a one-site spot. But as far as Jared said about who's the best team, I'm completely in agreement. I saw Gonzaga play. That's a very good basketball team, top to bottom. They're the deepest team in the country. Um, just going forward, Michigan State, I think, still has something to say as the season goes on. They did beat Duke, which has been a minute since they did that. But I think Gonzaga right now, if you're asking who the favorite is, it's them. But we'll see. I just personally, I think Krzyzewski's right in what he said about we shouldn't play. And like for all those that are saying, well, it's because Illinois beat the snot out of you. No, 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 no. It's not about that. It's not about all that. Stop that. Cut that out.
I
Eliminate that
wouldn't say
nonsense.
that, but
No, it ain't you. I don't think you. It would be you to say something crazy like that. But I'm not going to put you. I'm not going to characterize you like that, even though you are a Duke hater, which I am too. But that's another story.
I think
Uh,
we're all Duke haters in this panel.
exactly. We're not right. There you go. I understand. But what Krzyzewski said, y'all, he's right. I mean, at the end of the day, it's about our safety. And for those of you out there that want to continue to play, well, I'm not wearing a mask. I'm not going to sanitize. Well, you're not going to sanitize. That means you got bad hygiene. You got problems. But wear your masks in public, people. And that's your PSA for the day. Wear your masks. People are saying, well, it's infringing on my rights. Really? What about your safety? Look, I told you earlier, Sean, my whole family's been diagnosed with COVID. My mom, my dad, my two brothers, they're battling it right now. So I don't want to hear all this crap about, well, I'm not wearing a mask. Really? What Joe Biden's talking about, the president elect, do it. Just do it.
I agree, and I pray for your family that they get
Thank you.
better. I pray for the healing.
Definitely.
Man, and knowing, and I'm gonna say this, Jared, his brother is a Shaw graduate,
Hmm.
so it's all to the good. So prayers to the Peppers family.
Definitely.
Well, I'm gonna say
Thank
this.
you.
I do agree it's gonna be kind of tough with this college basketball. So hope it does finish because I know we'll talk more a little bit on. I'm gonna do a year end show for one of our special editions coming up soon. But I hope the college basketball season do end. I was disappointed that it didn't end the way it's supposed to last season. But my opinion has been very good. Some really good teams. I like what Illinois is looking like. Illinois is looking great. Michigan State, Iowa, the Big Ten, really, really good this year. They are stacked. ACC is wide open. Wide open after what I've seen this week. Wide open. Anytime Penn State wins at Virginia Tech by 20 and they're ranked and undefeated, ACC is wide open. Anybody can win it this year. But my opinion, Gonzaga, they're really good. I like them. I put them maybe 2 in the country. They're really good. My team, I think that's really looking good right now as a world beater me. To me, the best team in the country is Baylor. They are looking scary good. Jared Butler and a couple of those players that he got, those returning players, and a couple of those forwards that they have. You seen what they did at Illinois. My goodness. They are looking like UNLV 92. That's how they're looking right now. If Baylor continues to do it, that's a scary team. I like Baylor right now. Right behind them is Gonzaga. But the reason why I'm going with Baylor is what I seen them against Illinois. And Illinois is really good. And I was like, wow. If they do what they did a couple years ago, that it could be redemption after what happened with Tweety Carter, Quincy Ace and that team when they lost to Duke. They're almost like that team. Maybe better. But we'll see. I like the Baylor Bears. and then the Gonzaga Bulldogs. And I think Gonzaga has a great chance to win it all. Same thing for Baylor. But let's move on. LHSAA playoffs. Let's go. You want to start with the regional finals, Jared, or you want to go to the selects? The non-select, I meant to say.
Start with the division finals.
Yeah, let's go to division finals first. Let's go to division four first for the finals. And man, what a now, right now we have a champ, but big time news over the week. A venue change has changed everything. From at first, the Superdome was going to be the site for all the championships, but Eddie Bonine made a huge change because of COVID and the danger of maybe losing this event. They're moving the championship games to Northwest Louisiana in Natchitoches. Now I'm gonna ask you this, George. First of all, before we get to Division Four, is this a good decision by Bonine, and also does this give extra incentive to the teams in Central Louisiana, North Louisiana, and Lafayette?
Well, I mean, at the end of the day, people are going to bang on Latoya Cantrell, the mayor of New Orleans, for how she's done things, and everything else. And do I disagree with her on some stuff? Sure. But when it comes to what Eddie Bonine's trying to do, moving the championships to Turpin Stadium, it's a beautiful stadium over there in Natchitoches. That's where Northwestern State plays. I think he was doing it. And I live up here in Central Louisiana, and I was hearing a lot of that it was going to be a formality that they was going to move it, and we had heard that it could be Cajun Field or it could be or Turpin, but and then see what would happen with the belt championship. Now we know they're going to Coastal, so that opened up Cajun. But we thought Lafayette was going to be the one, but we had heard Natchitoches was also there. I agree with it. I mean, I hate it for the kids because in New Orleans is New Orleans. Look, you're in an NFL stadium for one time, to go down there. That's the when we all went to school, it was like, man, I want to see my team in a dome, the Superdome, but we're living in transcendent times. We're living in unprecedented times. So we have to take what we get. And I don't have a problem with, the fact that they moved to Natchitoches. What I do have a problem with some of the blowback saying, well, they need to kick Mayor Cantrell out of office. Look, that's on the voters of New Orleans, those that live in the city. That's not on you. For those of you that don't live there, get some duct tape, a muzzle, and shut up. And let that city operate the way it is. I know that city well, we all do. But damn it, leave her alone. She may not be the sharpest knife in the drawer. I don't agree with a lot of what she does. But to those that have been running their mouth saying, "Oh, she needs to go, she needs to go, she needs to go," no, you need to stop your business and shut up. The fact that they're in Natchitoches, and I might make my way up there in a couple of weeks to go see those championships. But Darren, I have no problem with Mr. Bonon's decision because you're trying to protect the championship games and you want to have an end to the season. If you kept it in New Orleans, you might have had a chance of it not happening. And then it's like a book. If you're reading it cover to cover and you don't get to the end, it's no good.
Jared, your thoughts?
The right decision was made once they went back to this phase two in New Orleans, and the um the attendance was decreased everywhere. He had to make the move to somewhere else, and I totally agree with the move that was made. I don't have a problem with it. In regards to you saying that maybe Central and Northern Louisiana might have an advantage, it's still at a neutral site, depending, no matter where it's at. Even if it was here, you could say the same thing, that a car or like if Rummel was still in it, they still have an advantage. It's still a neutral site. Every high school kid's dream is to play for a state championship in the Superdome. That's their dream. This is the second time since 1981, since the championships were in the dome, that is being moved. First time it was in '05 for Katrina. Now this is because of COVID. I have a problem with it. I agree with Mr. Bonine. I think the right decision was made.
I agree with that. I think it's a right decision by Bonine. And does it give extra incentive to North Louisiana? I think it gives extra incentive too because now they feel like, yeah, Superdome is their dream, but now they feel like, oh, my mom and dad ain't got to go that far. The
Oh,
fans ain't got.
in regards to that, yeah, definitely. Traveling
Yeah.
wise, yes, I agree with you.
Oh
Yes.
my God, it'll be a lot more people coming instead of just going taking that 4 5.5 hour ride to New Orleans. Now they can take a 1 hour or 2 hour drive and boom, they're there. And people gonna be out there too. I mean, I know they're gonna control the crowds as much, and they might have to get extra security negatives, especially if teams like West Monroe or some other teams get that, because there's gonna be people coming down there and tailgate and whatever, even if they don't get in the game. So they're gonna have to get extra security. I know LHSAA gonna handle it well, but they better have all the ducks in a row, especially for teams from those areas, especially if Manny gets to the title game. And we'll talk about them because trust me, if they get there, they bring a lot of fans. So get ready, get things in control and protocol and Natchitoches. But Division 4 championship game is set. The battle of Monroe, Cafford, the Calvary. I'm saying not Monroe, but the battle of North Louisiana, Monroe Shreveport, Calvary Baptist, Washita Christian. Jared, your thoughts and who wins the championship?
I think when we first started doing this, I think I said I was riding with Washita Christian to the end. I'm not going to change my pick. I'm going to stick with Washita Christian defeating Calvary Baptist for the Division 4 championship.
George, your thoughts?
I'm on the other side. I'm on Calvary Baptist. I do my segment every Friday night as one of the state experts, and I follow Scott Farrell from the Shreveport Times every Friday night. And Scott has been talking up Calvary Baptist all year long. They've scheduled tough. They played big teams. Watchdog Christian. This is a very good team, but this isn't a team that you know, this isn't one of those teams that's like, man, they're going to clobber somebody. I just don't see it. I think Calvary Baptist wins it, and I think they win it fairly decisively. Calvary Baptist is loaded, y'all, and I just don't think OCS has the wherewithal and the merit to beat this team. I'd be surprised if they win. I'm going with the Cavaliers in this one.
Should be a great game between both of these teams. I like Washington Christian what they're doing up there, but I think Calvary Baptist schedule makes a difference. I
Yep.
think tough play is going to help them. I think Calvary Baptist beats Washington Christian. I'm going to say by a field goal because that's going to be really really close in that ball game. Division 3 finals are set. What a ball game this is going to be, a rematch of last year's Division 3 championship. It's Lafayette Christian taking on St. Charles Catholic. Jared, you was right, but I couldn't believe that you changed the pick on your pick on the state championship. At first, you said it's a cakewalk for Lafayette for Newman.
I didn't say cakewalk. I said I think Newman would get there.
You said Newman will get there. I
Yeah.
don't know if Deshaun said cakewalk, but no, I don't think Deshaun said cakewalk. Somebody said they'll get there, but I think you listened to me when I said don't sleep on Lafayette Christian. I picked them to win Friday. I picked them to get in the dome, but I said it's not gonna be easy against Lafayette Christian. They got it done. That the curse continues at Newman. Your thoughts, Jared?
Well, I didn't listen to you, number one, but just reading things, listening to Mike Coppage, and then seeing the amount of athletes that's on the Lafayette Christian Academy team, that made me change my mind. And to me, they won 21-7 over a good Newman team, but they did it without their best player, Sage Ryan. Now he has 2 weeks to come back from injury, heal up, and play in this game against St. Charles Catholic, I believe. Yes, St.
Yeah,
Charles
St.
Catholic,
Charles Catholic.
which is a good team coached by Frank
Frank
Monica.
Monica. Yeah.
But I see Lafayette Christian getting the job done, back-to-back champs.
George, let's get your thoughts on this game. Do you think it might be redemption for Coach Monica in the comments?
I have a soft spot for Frank Monica because I think the world of him. And he's a pariah of coaches. But man, this Lafayette Christian team is the new dominant team in the state of Louisiana. I just, and if y'all who picked Newman, Jared, was it you before the playoffs?
I did before the
Man, I
playoffs.
wish I was on then because I would have been like, I'm telling you, I've seen this Lafayette Christian team on tape. Coaches that I've talked to have told me about this team, have said things. Man, this team is just monster good. I do expect a competitive game for St. Charles. It's like Calgary. They schedule tough. They're not afraid to play anybody. I think this game is a lot more competitive this year. But I think at the end of the day, Lafayette Christian's going to hoist that trophy one more time.
I think it'll be a close game too. I think Frank Monica's going to get them ready to go. One of my favorite coaches. I love the cover, and he's a great guy, and he's got a good team once again. He's done it again at St. Charles Catholic. I think it's going to be close, but it'll be deep fourth quarter, and I think Lafayette Christian pulls away, wins the state championship. But it'll be great if St. Charles can pull off the upset, get revenge, and win the second state championship for Coach Monica. But I'm going with Lafayette Christian. Let's go to Division Two for the Region Two finals. The 1 versus 2 going against each other. De La Salle, St. Thomas More. Start with you, George. This monster matchup. Anything maybe could happen. Who you think takes this?
Last year's game was at St. Thomas More. Thank God we're not doing that this year because that was just complete foolishness. This year, I think De La Salle's team is going to compete a lot better than they did last. And I thought they were way up against it last year. And there's a championship with Ryan Manelli's name on it. I believe he's going to get one. But this St. Thomas More team, what did they do University the other night? 28-13, was it 28-13, I want to say? I don't have the score the sheets in front of me, but
31-23 over
there you go.
ULAB.
Okay, well, you hung in and all that. But St. Thomas More team, Jim Hightower is an outstanding coach. This is a great coaching matchup again. But De La Salle's team is better than last year's, and I think the Cavaliers are going to offer up more. And I want to pick them. Man, I want to pick them because I just like Ryan Manelli. But I'm going to go with St. Thomas More. Close.
Jerry, your thoughts?
Well, if you watched Friday Night Football this past weekend on the CW38 or ABC 26, Coach Ryan Manelli was on the show. And the first thing he said was he's happy that they do not have to go to Lafayette at St. Thomas More. He said he felt like that was just not fair. I felt the same way last year, that it wasn't fair that the higher seeds get to pick where to play. Who's not going to pick their home? Who's not? He said, with that being said, he said they had fireworks for days when they went up there to play them. So he's happy. He's at a neutral place this year. He's more than happy. He said he learned a lot about himself and his coaching staff last year when they went up there and played. So he thinks he's more prepared and more ready this year for St. Thomas More. But I just don't see it happening. This offense at St. Thomas More is phenomenal. They put up points. I just don't see De La Salle getting the job done for the second straight year in the championship against St. Thomas More.
Well, I gotta agree. I think it's unanimous. I think St. Thomas More. I mean, what I seen them against Karen Crow showed everything. I know how good they are, but man, I mean, you go against Karen Crow and you just straight up handle business against them at the Crow Dome. Wow. And then on top of that, De La Salle, I think it'll be close because De La Salle, they got a good game plan. Two good running backs that they have, and the quarterback play is much better too. So I think early you're going to have a competitive game, but this could go down to the fourth quarter. But St. Thomas More going to show their mettle more than anything else, and they'll win the state championship. We got St. Thomas More winning Division Two, Division One championship game, and the most maybe unexpected matchup. Who would imagine Catholic of Baton Rouge? Not surprising too much, but 4 seed gets to the finals. But who would have thought C.E. Bird, the 3 seed, gets to the finals? Both teams, and looking at Bird, not that far of a ride to get down there, and what a run for Bird. and they get to left the Natchitoches final score over Curtis 14-13. I watched the ball game online, and Bird was very fortunate to get it done. One missed extra point. Jared and I said it myself, the kicking game was going to be a factor for Curtis. I was dead right. Then on top of that, Bird was fortunate to get one touchdown that was actually given to him because of the fact on a second and goal, and I think Curtis had him stopped at the one, but they gave Bird the touchdown, and that was one of the big differences in the ball game. And also, Catholic brother Martin, close ball game, but Catholic pulls away, getting it done. Shout out to Mark Moniz and brother Martin. What a year for them. We thought the redemption story was going to continue to the state final, but it's not. Catholic proven to be a great squad once again, and they're trying to get redemption after what happened last year. Jared, let's start with you. Who wins this state championship, and your thoughts on the two semis?
I'm gonna start with the two semis. The first half of the Bird Curtis game, they played in the monsoon. It stormed, it stormed, it stormed. Curtis had three fumbles they gave away, one being the last play of the first half on CE Bird's 1 yard line. They fumbled the ball. They kicked the field goal. It was roughing the kicker. Okay, extra play on the 1 yard line. Who's not gonna go for it? And they fumbled the ball on the 1 yard line. So those three fumbles, number one, that played a factor with the weather. Second half, the the kicking abilities of Curtis haunts them again. They missed the extra point. They lose by 1 point. Other than that, that was an evenly matched ball game. They both run the same offense. So they knew what was coming back and forth. Now, in regards to the touchdown that the Curtis announcer said that he wasn't in, from the angle I was watching that on my iPad, I couldn't tell if he was in or not. So I'm not going to speak about it. It is what it is.
It looked pretty close, and to me, it didn't look like that ball crossed that goal line. It really didn't.
To me, I couldn't tell. So that's why I'm not speaking about it. But hey, Bird's going to the dome for the first time in so many years. So
Actually,
hats
the
off.
last time it was in the dome, they lost to Rummel. That actually was the first year of the split in when they won in Division One when Rummel defeated him, and Rummel had probably one of the biggest breaks of the game when Isaac Phipps
Bird?
was going in the end zone, and he fumbled the ball out of the end zone when he ran it in the corner. George, you was there for that game.
Bird?
He said
It
yes
was Bird,
against Rummel.
George?
Uh huh.
I'm not with Bird. No. Look, as far as the game he's talking about, no, actually, you're talking about 2012, right? No, 2011.
Yeah, 2011.
I wasn't there. No, I
Yeah,
wasn't there for
was
that
because
championship.
that was actually the second year when Rummel won. That's when they won back to back state.
I
That's
know.
That,
I know what it. I know what happened.
that's when
But
they beat
yeah,
Bard?
I wasn't there
no,
for
no,
that.
no, 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 no. They beat Ball for their first title. They
Right.
took on Bird for the second championship. That was the
Hmm.
first year of Division One. So
Right.
I was there for that one. And when I
Hmm.
said it was like two total breaks in the game, it was crazy because the
Hmm.
fact that Bird on one play on an option, and it looked like it was an option, but they said it was a shuffle pass because the fact that is Romo recovered a fumble. It should have been a fumble, but they said now it's an incomplete pass. But then all of a sudden there was another play that Isaac Phipps for Romo was going in the corner and end zone, and he actually probably fumbled the ball out, but they called a touchdown.
Well, if I can put in what I think happened in the championship game, but for the semifinals, look, Baton Rouge Catholic, I'm not surprised they beat Brother Martin. I am surprised that they dominated that game the way they did, 49-31. I think the game changed 28-24, and Brother Martin had a chance to grab the lead, but they didn't. And when Catholic got that separation score, that completely changed the concept of how that game was going to go. The Bears are going to be a very tough out. And look, Bird's going to hear this for the next 2 weeks. Like, you can't win this game. You're not going to. You got no shot. You were lucky to beat John Curtis, and perhaps they were. And John Curtis, the one thing that did him in was their special teams. And as you mentioned, Jared, they gave up the ball 3 times. When you turn the ball over against anybody, it makes it that much more exponentially difficult for you to win, and especially on the road. That said, this is one of the finals that will be played in the next 2 weeks that I don't see a close game. I think Baton Rouge Catholic can name their score and win by a lot. And we've had this problem with this in the past with championships where games are just bad matchups. Both teams run the same style, but Catholic's got the horses. Bird's got mules next to thoroughbreds. I don't like Bird at all. I think Catholic wins easy.
I agree with
VK,
that.
VK.
Jared,
Let me go back to the top half of the bracket with Catholic and
go ahead.
Brother Martin. I'll give my pick.
Go
Um,
ahead.
Catholic showed that if you can stop Brother Martin's running game, you could beat them. And I also said the winner between Catholic and Rummel will be going to play for state. So Catholic is there. Um, JT Curtis believes Bird has a good shot if they can stop the running game of Catholic. And I'm with George. I just don't see it. I think Catholic and Baton Rouge is going to be too much. The different styles of running games they have in that spread offense, from the RPOs to option plays. I think it's too much for Bird. Catholic Baton Rouge champs.
I agree with that. I think Bird had a great run. Bird has a great chance, really, to try to, maybe win it all. But Cadley's got too much depth. Schedule too tough. I think it's gonna be too much. Could be close early, but then once Caddick settles down and a couple touchdowns, the Bears will win it. They'll win another state championship. So I think it'll be the Catholic Bears in Division One. Let's start with some non-selects right quick. Class 1A, your semifinals are set. Oak Grove Homer, Grand Lake, East Iberville. Now, I'm going to ask you this, and I'm going to start with you, Jared. And I know, without a doubt, Oak Grove is going back to the Dome no matter what. Homer has had a great year, but Oak Grove is just world beaters right now. Who goes against the Oak Grove Tigers in the finals?
Have Grand Lake and East Iberville played yet?
Well,
I don't see a score.
you funny.
I'm serious. I'm looking at the website. I don't see a score for Grand Lake or East Iberville. I know Oak Grove won. They don't have a score either. But my pick is Oak Grove to win the whole thing, regardless. I think Oak Grove got too many athletes, and the talent level is superb than more than Grand Lake or East Iberville. So I'm still
Yeah.
sticking with Oak Grove.
Yeah, this is the semifinals. This is what Class 1A now. I know you might have been confused. George, your thoughts? Who goes against the Oak Grove Tigers?
Does it matter? I mean, honestly,
That's what I'm saying.
look, the one thing with me is I'm gonna tell it like it is. Oak Grove is just dominant, and Homer has had a nice run of things. And again, listening to Scott and then reading, I do a lot of reading, and if there's video I can watch, I'll do it. Um, Homer's got a really nice team comprised, but nice teams against dominant teams don't match up well. Oak Grove wins. Call out to Grand Lake and East Iberville. That's your semifinal in League One. You raise your hand if you could call those guys powers. You can't. Those are new, fresh blood. And East Iberville beating Ansville did not upset me at all. I like new blood. Give me new blood all the time. But Oak Grove is gonna give them a lesson here in a couple of against Homer first. I think that's gonna be their tougher game. This Homer team because Homer's got a good team, but they'll beat them and then they'll handle whoever gets out of the other semifinal. And it's not in New Orleans, VK. I heard you say we're going to the Dome. And if they do go to the Dome, they'll be by themselves. Everybody else will be a knockout. But Oak Grove will win against whoever. You can name the other game, whoever you want. East Iberville, Grand Lake. Whoever wins it, doesn't matter. Oak Grove's going to win big.
Yeah, VK, I was confused. I'm thinking we still in division. I was confused, so my fault on that. But
No,
Be
but
all
yeah,
good.
Oak Grove against East Iberville. Yes,
okay,
that's my pick.
okay. Now let's go to Class 2A. And I'm gonna go to you first, George. Semifinals
Okay.
is set. Magnum continuing into the handle business as the 2 seed, trying to finally get over the hump to win the state championship. They take on Kinder, who took out Louisville in overtime, 21-14. Kinder making the semifinal appearance,
Mm-hmm.
a rare appearance for them. General Trask, who's been a surprise of the season. They will take on the Manny Tigers that are not too far from you. And what a win for Manny. 34-30. A lot of mental mistakes for Amit. Great season for Amit, but a lot of mistakes cost them in the end. What are your thoughts on who goes to the finals, and what are your thoughts on Manny against General Trask, especially the way Manny played against Amit?
I watched that Manny game against St. and in the third quarter, Manny had the ball first, and they scored to go up 28-14. And at that point, you're thinking, okay, now you've got Amit right where you want him because you're going to make that team chase it. Amit's got a lot of athletes. Zephaniah Powell is a very good coach, and he's got a lot of talent on that roster. So, what changed that game? Amit had a 52-yard run, and then they had another pass play, and then they scored. There was a 3-play drive. They got in the end zone and got it close, and then they got the lead. And then Manny showed their resilience late, catching a drive inside of a minute to go to win that game. So I always thought Josh Curtis's team was a better team. I've seen them play; they're very strong. They're better than last year's team that got absolutely killed by Faraday and the Dome last year. But as far as their matchup now, they get General Trask. General Trask, from what I've not seen, I'm told that they throw the ball with regularity. So in that sense, the contrast in styles will be interesting. I still think Manny wins it. I think their physicality and the fact that they have 83 players on a two-way school is ridiculous,
Wow.
and they're going to beat General Trask. Now, the Mangum Kinder game is going to be interesting. Kinder, despite 5 turnovers against Mosville, they found a way to win. That's the mark of a team with a lot of guts and a lot of character. Mangum has had a very good run, but what do we know about Mangum against teams that are physical? They can't match up. If Kinder, and I wasn't sure about Kinder before the year started, and even into the playoffs, I thought there were some opportunities. I think Kinder can beat Mangum. And I think it's going to be Kinder and Manny for the title at Turpin Stadium in 2 weeks' time.
Wow. Yeah, it should be very interesting. Jared, your thoughts on Class 2A? Uh-oh. We can't hear Jared, so that's
Uh-oh.
that's not good. I don't know if your sounding went out or something like that. But I guess you might have to chat
Can
it
y'all
up
hear
or
me?
something. I can hear you now.
There we go. I got you now.
We got you.
I can't hear y'all. My sound went out. But
Okay.
let me give my picks on 2A.
Yeah.
I think Mangum gets the job done against Kinder, and I think Manning gets the job done against General Trask.
Okay. Okay. Cool. My thoughts on this one. Like I said, I think I'm gonna go with Kinder in the semifinal game. I think Kinder has been a good team and everything, and I think they're gonna have to overcome some things on the road at Magnum, who's trying to win a state championship. But I think Kinder will pull it off. Manny seen, especially what happened, especially the field goal, long field goal made by Meat. I thought the Amy Tigers were gonna take it, but now after what I've seen from Jess Curtis and his team, I really think Manny has the capability to win the whole thing. I think they'll get by General Trask in a close one, but I think they have a chance to win it all. They're good enough. They've really shown it. I know they're a good program. They'll always be in the cusp and always don't get there, but I think this might be their time. Class 3A, we go to that one. Semifinal set for that one. Madison Prep, a miracle, getting the win, upsetting Jennings 27-20. They'll take on Church Point, who took out the defending state champs, St. James 14-7. Union Parish, they get by St. Martinville. I mean, not even close. They take on Lake Charles College Prep at home. Your team, Jared, to win the whole thing. Your thoughts on the semis?
Well, we know Madison Prep has been to a state championship game before in football, so we shouldn't have expected nothing less from them. Even though Jennings was a favorite to win it from other people, but Madison Prep got the job done. I was totally shocked by the Church Point win over St. James, and you could tell with the score being so low, it was a defensive battle. So I was certainly shocked with that. Out of those two teams, I am going to roll with Madison Prep due to experience of being in the state championship game before. I'm going with Madison Prep. Um, Lake Charles College Prep escaped in overtime against Jenna in
Right.
Jenna. So a tight ball game there. And then they have to play Union Parish. And this Union Parish team is dangerous. Very, very dangerous. And they really look unstoppable, to be honest with you. Union Parish looks unstoppable. I am sticking with Lake Charles College Prep. I am sticking with Lake Charles College Prep. I'm not going to change with Lake Charles College Prep. They might give Union Parish a challenge if they have a lot of talent and a lot of athletes, and if they can use them to the best of their abilities, they can get the job done over Union Parish. So my picks right now: Lake Charles College Prep and Madison Prep.
George, your thoughts?
I'm going to respectfully disagree on the bottom side of that bracket. I'm going to go with Union Parish. Those dudes, they growing big up there. That's the old Farmerville camp. You remember old Farmerville farmers?
Yep.
Y'all remember them people? Them dudes, they growing big up that way. I don't know what they feed them. They put some additives in their food, and the offensive linemen are huge. That said, Lake Charles College Prep has been the story of these playoffs. They're a 3 seed. They've never had this kind of success. And here they are into the state semifinals. They did escape at Gina last week, 28-26. But that being said, Union Parish, I think, is going to win that game. Now, the other one, Madison Prep and Church Point. Emmanuel Prep, as my brother and I talked about. Church, he touted Church Point before the playoffs. So I was like, dude, I don't know. I've seen it. I know what they're about. I'm not sure they're that kind of team. I was a little surprised they knocked off St. James last week. St. James wasn't near the magical team that they were last year. Last year, they may have been the best team in the state, regardless of class. That said, you're asking Church Point and Madison Prep. That's going to be a very competitive game. And I wouldn't fault you for going either way, really, to be honest. I think it's a coin flip. But I'm going to go with Church Point. I'm going to take a little stab here. Madison Prep had a nice win last week against Jennings. That was my pick to win the state title, and they're gone. But I'm going to go with Church Point, and I think it's a coin flip. I think it's a field goal either way.
Well, and this is very interesting right there. And I'm gonna disagree a little bit. I might go with Jared, but on the first semifinal, Madison Prep, Church Point, very fortunate that they at home again for the semifinals. They've been at home 3 times, and they're very resilient, very good team. But I think the matchup with Madison Prep, I don't think it's a good matchup. Madison Prep has played the toughest teams. Look at their side of the bracket. They had to they handled business against Buckaloosa at home, but they had to go to Donaldsonville that's had an outstanding year. Beating Donaldsonville on the road and winning at Jennings, I don't know. Might be close, but I like Madison Prep and their experience and the way that they're playing right now. I like Madison Prep to get to the finals. Uh, Union Parish, good program. They are legit, but at the same time, Lake Charles's experience is going to help them. They got to the quarters last year, and they barely lose the
No,
McDonald's.
they got to the second
They
second
got a
round.
second round. Second round.
Second round.
They got a second round last year. They
Yeah.
lost to down 35. All those players returned. And I think with their one on the road against at Jenna is going to help them as well. I think it's going to be tough at Union Parish. It's going to be not easy, but I think Lake Charles College Prep goes to the Dome. I'm sorry, Natchitoches. I think it'll be Lake Charles College Prep, not that far of a ride. They will take on Madison Prep Class 3A.
Look,
That's my thing.
you're saying experience, and I'm going for Lake Charles College Prep, but we got to remember Union Parish, their experience too. They were the semifinals last year, and then as Farmerville, they got far every year. So let's just not
Of course.
say Lake Charles
Not
College Prep got the experience. Yeah, they got the experience in the playoffs, and here they
that's
are
true.
advancing, getting better and better every year. But this Union Parish team is dangerous, like I said, and like George
That's
said, it's
that's
very, very
true.
dangerous.
That's true. One of the mergers that one of the mergers that works.
Yeah,
If you know what I mean, I'm sorry, but that's how I feel. But I think I'm not sleeping on Union Parish. But I like Lake Charles College Prep. I like their story. I like what they're doing. But like I said, it's not going to be easy. I got Lake Charles College Prep on this Madison Prep for the title. Well, I wouldn't be surprised Union Parish would win though, because that's how good they are. And I think was it Farmerville and who they merged with? Farmerville and there was another school they merged with because they was rivals long time ago, close rivals. I forgot the school, but
Yeah.
yeah, they got
I
together
don't remember off the top of my head who it is.
and and they won the state championship in their first year. So the merger worked and it's still working. Thank goodness for them. Class 4A, the semifinals set for that. Actually, let's go to 4A
you
because
go
I know
for
we
it.
still got to talk about 5A. But
Uh,
the semifinals are set one half. Karen Crow hosting Neville and Warren Easton Carr, part 5 or whatever you want to call it in the other semis. Let's go with you, George. Your thoughts? Who goes to the Class 4A final?
Well, starting with the battle in New Orleans, look, I want to see Warren Easton win that game. I just those kids have been through heck and back. They deserve to knock off the super team and come. I don't think it's going to happen. I think Grace Brown has got another juggernaut headed to Natchitoches. They're going to beat Easton, but I do believe this is going to be just like last year's final was, and about close. I think a touchdown somewhere late. The Car Cougars are going to find their way. Now, Karen Crow takes on, I forget who the heck are they
Neville,
playing?
Neville.
Neville. Yeah, well, this is going to be the surprise blowout of the whole bracket. Karen Crow, big. Neville's got a very good team, and with Mickey McCarter as their coach, and Karen Crow has just got special good written. I know this is a team near about an hour from me. I get to see some of these games, and this Karen Crow team, y'all, they went to West Monroe in week 1 and pitched a shutout. How many teams can say they could do that? Go into that building and throw a shutout? None. And West Monroe's in the state semifinals. We'll talk about that in a few minutes. I expect Karen Crow to win. I think they will, and I think they win by 2 scores over Neville.
Ooh, Jared, your thoughts?
Let me start with Karen Crow and Neville. So we know the story of Karen Crow from years ago, powerhouse in 5A, very, very good team. And then we haven't heard from Karen Crow a lot for the past couple of years. So to see Karen Crow name back where it should be among the elites, I like it. I really do like it. And I'm happy they're here. And yes, they played a Plaquemine team and destroyed the mess out of that Plaquemine team. But I guarantee you this, they were much bigger than that Plaquemine team. I saw a picture of Karen Crow's O-line the other day, and I was like, whoa, them boys are big. Them boys are massive. So yeah, this game with Neville, it's gonna be something else, okay? Because Neville is a perennial power in 4A, okay? Them, Warren Easton, and Card. That's it in 4A. That's your top tier. And Karen Crow has to get over this hump against this Neville team to get back to elite status against a Carl Warren Easton. But I'm sticking with the team that's used to getting to the semis every year for the past, 10 years maybe? Maybe 9 out of 10 years. I am sticking with Neville to win this game, a very close game, maybe a field goal game. But I'm sticking with Neville. As far as the other side of the bracket, Warren Easton and Edna Carr, who has been Warren Easton's kryptonite? Edna Carr. And for the past couple years, when they play their regular season game, Carr wins by a lot. But when they play in the playoffs or the state championship, it has been a very, very close game Warren Easton hits their stride later on in the season. We saw 2 years ago. If Lance LeJean doesn't get hurt in that state championship game, I think they beat Carr in that game. Last year, a lot of people agree with Coach Phillips to go forward after that Carr turnover. I thought he should have not go for a big shot off the get-go. Play to your strengths, run the ball a little bit, quick short pass and score a touchdown. Leave the Carr with a little bit on the clock. He threw a pick. Carr runs the clock out. They win by 1 point. I just don't think this Eastern team has enough to compete with this Carr team. I think it'll be close within 10 points, but I think Carr with A.J. Samuel at quarterback, what's my boy name at wide receiver, the 4-star receiver, I can't think of his name. I think
Payson.
Payson, yes. I think Carr gets the job done, and we're going to see Carr and Neville. I think we'll see Carr and Neville.
Well, I'm gonna go and start on the other side first. Carr, Neville, Carr and Easton. Gonna be another classic. Gonna be another great classic. I love what Jerry Phillips has done with this Easton program. To me, and let's get this right, ladies and gentlemen. He has maintained this program, maintained it to winning and everything. Tony Hall was the one that got that program on the map. Let's get it right. Tony Hall got that thing on the map and got Easton to the dome and got them going. And he started from the ground up after Katrina.
And that was a
So
1 point loss to Neville, too, in that dome. A 1 point loss to Neville.
Yeah, 1 point loss. So Tony Hall got him on the map. But what's funny was, and it's a good thing that they're maintaining, because who was the defensive coordinator at the time when Tony Hall? Jerry Phillips.
Mm-hmm.
Jerry Phillips was waiting in the wings. Jerry Phillips has done a great job maintaining this program now in their 5th straight berth to the semifinals, looking for their 3rd straight state championship appearance. And I always said one of these days that he's going to get one. Jerry Phillips is going to get one, but not this year. Should be a close game. Should be a great one. Should be come down to the 4th quarter. I say Carl wins by a touchdown. It's going to be very, very close. It's going to be another classic. Other semifinal. I like what I see with Karen Crow. They're very good. They're really, really good. And Neville, and I don't know if you know this, George, Mickey McCarty's not the coach anymore. Mickey
that's right.
Not a principal.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. Oh, wow.
So he
completely
one of his assistants is taking over. And he's done a good job because Neville had a shaky start. Now they're pretty good. Not knocking what Neville does and everything. But at the same time, I'm going to go with Karen Crow because of their running game and they can keep Neville off that field. If they do that, it will be curtains for Neville. I have Karen Crow in the final, and they will take on in the Carr 1 versus 2 with the matchup. And the offensive line will take on Carr's defensive line, and that's something we'll talk about next week. So I'm going with Carr, Karen Crow for the 4A final. Class 5A, to close things out on this show, the semis are set. First of all, you have Acadiana, the 1 seed, taking on the 5 seed, Dashone. And then Alexandria, a big time over the hump game. They take on West Monroe. I'm going to start with you, George. Who comes out of 5A and goes to the 5A final?
Okay, we're going to start with Dashone and Acadiana. It's a rematch of last year's state championship game. I have a rule when it comes to high school. Any level of sport. If you have a strength, it travels. Dashone's defense travels. They're going to bring it at Acadiana. The problem I see, and look, I like Jai Eugene, the quarterback. You know, he's the son of the guy that played at Dashone and got an LSU bought from Michigan in recruiting years ago. Still bitter, not really bitter about that, but anyway, their quarterback play has been up and down. I mean, their defense has been their hallmark, and that's what's going to carry them in this game. Marcus Scott has done a heck of a job. I miss him in John Eric, being a Patriot guy. He's done a yeoman's work there. I don't think they beat Acadiana. I do think it's a close game like last year. I think it's a touchdown, low scoring. I think Acadiana finds a score somewhere in the second half and gets that game something like 14-7 or something like that. As far as the other game, look, there's no prejudice on this one. I live near Alexandria, 30 minutes from Alexandria. I know this program well. The first time against West Monroe they played, it was 18-0 before you could sit, and it was in the elements. Alexandria is a team that needs a fast track. They need a fast track to really affect because passing teams that throw the ball in the rain, that's never a good thing. They're not going to start like that against West Monroe again. West Monroe has done great work in these playoffs. Look, I'll give it to them. I'll tip my hat to them people. They've done a great job. The other rule that I have, it's a simple one. The rematches are toughest on the team that won it the first time, and the Rebels are being asked to travel and win against a team that I think's got it out for them. I'm going to ride this Alexandria team because I think that Zachary win buoys them and pushes them into the finals. I don't think nobody beats Acadiana at the end of the day, but Alexandria, Acadiana is my pick for the championship matchup. That's my pick.
Jared.
I said there's a top tier in 5A. That's 4 teams. It's Acadiana, it's Destrehan, it's Zachary, and it's West Monroe. And I said in order to get to a semifinals, somebody will have to beat one of these teams in the quarters. Alexandria did that against Zachary. And from what I was told from another person who was at the game, the scores had been worse than what it was if Alexandria didn't commit 2 or 3 turnovers in the first half. They said Alexandria moved the ball on Zachary with ease. With ease. And they came out with a 3-point victory, I believe, or a 4-point 3-point victory. 31-28. A 3-point victory. And so let's just imagine if those turnovers didn't happen. Are we talking about a 17-point game, maybe? 14-point game? We don't know. That said a lot to me because me, Vashon, and Dashone, we all said that we didn't know much about Alexandria. We didn't know much about them. And here they are in the semifinals against West Monroe. And like George says, it is tough to beat a team twice. So Alexandria, they chopped off the mighty Zachary. And here they are, wanting revenge against West Monroe in their house. I am going with Alexandria to knock off another top-tier team to get to the Dome. Yes, Alexandria over West Monroe. Yes, I said it. There it is.
There's a chink in the armor. Oh my God!
I'm not saying chink in the armor, but I think they get the job done. Now, Acadiana and Destrehan rematch of the state championship game last year, 8-3. Acadiana won that game. A defensive ball game, and you're gonna get it again. It's pretty much the same teams from last year returning for both teams pretty much, except Jai Eugene's the quarterback. I'm going to say it like this. Destrehan has to find ways to get Quincy Brown the ball. The running game will not do it for Destrehan. You got to get the ball into Quincy Brown's hand if you want a chance to beat Acadiana. With all that being said, at the end of the day, in a very, very close ball game, it is hard to win in Scott, Louisiana. It is hard. Acadiana gets the job done.
All right. So my picks on this one, Acadiana Destrehan should be very, very good on that one. Another classic in itself. Marcus Scott, outstanding what he has done. And he's finally got over the hump after a long time ago at West Jefferson. Very unfortunate things. But now he's really on an up and up as one of the best coaches in the state. And he's got Destrehan in the semis in his first year. So now Really, now he has really proven now to himself and to the Destrehan faithful that their program is being maintained. Now, for all that, Kadiana, after Ted Davidson leaving, the assistant coach who's taking over has done a great job with Acadiana. Looking like world beaters again. Should be a close game. It will come down to a field goal. I have Acadiana winning. And I can say it could be 12-9, the final score. It's going to be that kind of a game on Friday night. West Monroe and Alexandria, man, let me tell you one thing. My thing is West Monroe, no disrespect, but West Monroe is not what it used to be. They're not the world beaters like they used to be. And me and Jared always debated on that. When
They
they
still get to the
lost,
semis. Still get to the semis every year.
did not every year, but
Pretty much still close.
But you can see the chinks in the armor years ago when Central took them out. You seen the chinks in the armor when Landry Walker laid them out. That there showed me West Monroe ain't what it is anymore. This year they've been having a shaky year. I said it myself, the best team in North Louisiana is Ruston. And Destrehan got by with the win. West Monroe is good. Alexandria, this is their big chance. This is the over the hump game. Could they be like Barb and finally beat them? I don't think so. West Monroe has owned Alexandria for the longest, and they're going to do it again in a close game. I got West Monroe going into the final. I hate to say it. Alexandria always been coming up. I like the Alexandria story. I want them to get there.
Hey, it was their first time in the quarterfinals last week, ever. First time.
Yeah. I don't know if it was the first. If it was, yeah.
They announced it was their first time ever. They announced
I remember the couple of years they in the playoffs they took on, they didn't say in District West Monroe. But they also a couple of years they played West Monroe in the playoffs and got dropped. So this could be their chance, maybe. But some way, somehow, West Monroe is going to pull this thing out. It could be really close or it could be one-sided. We'll see. But if Alexandria brings the fight, it's going to be interesting. If they come out slow, it's going to be a long night. But we'll see. But I got West Monroe and Acadiana in another state championship game, which I think out of all the classes might not even be close. Just saying. Just saying. And Mike Coppage, George, was talking about it wasn't an upset for Karen Crow and West Monroe, but George, you made a great point. How many times they ever lost? And I think looking at the history, West Monroe has only lost maybe 3 games at home.
But they get shut out, dude. I mean, that's the thing.
Shut out, exactly. Maybe lost 3 games ever at home in the regular season. In the playoffs,
let's remember not to make excuses for them losing that game, but they had about 7 to 9 players out because of COVID. Not trying to make an excuse, but they did have people out that game because of COVID.
That is true, but at the same time, that's still a historic win for Karen Crow.
Oh, without a doubt. I'm not disagreeing with that.
Because this is an equivalent of what O'Perry Walker did in 2002 against Curtis at Bertolino, and also what Carver did in that same year, winning at West Monroe. So, trust me, it's more historical. I understand what Mike's saying, but I'm sorry. That's historic. When you go to certain places and you're unstoppable like that, you get a win. That's a rarity, especially in places like that. But appreciate everybody joining us. George Peppers, man, it's been a great joy to have you on. We'll definitely want to have you on again, man. But I thank you so much from the bottom of my heart. We wish you the best. Keep doing what you're doing for horse racing, for sports, for football in Central Louisiana. We wish your family the best, hopefully in healing with what's going on with them. And where people want to find you on social media, or what you have.
I've got Facebook and Twitter. I know you follow me on Twitter, BK, but Jared, you don't. So my Twitter handle is at George Peppers. Capitalize both the first and last letter, first letter of my first name, first letter of my last name. That's my Twitter handle. And I periodically write columns at KansasCitySports.com. But thank you for the opportunity to join y'all. This has been fun. I want to wish you both a very Merry Christmas. And
Same to
to
you, my
all your
man.
families out there,
You
Merry
too.
Christmas and Happy Holidays through the season. And I'd love to do this again. And I know this. I now know West Monroe's a dead team this week because you picked them. So I got Alexandria. We good next week, baby. We good. So, but no,
I
thank
guess.
y'all again. Much
I
love,
guess
and y'all take care of yourselves
You
you
too, my
too.
man.
and stay safe.
I guess so. Since you just said I gave your school the Gree. So
Did you? I mean,
he's a John Eric graduate, Jared.
yes, I
That's
am
it's all good. West Bank.
all day.
Hmm.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. But appreciate it, George. Jared, man, appreciate you, man. Hopefully we can do this again next week. And
Definitely. I'll let you know. I'll let you know the time, man.
yes, sir. We're coming back next week. Another special edition of BK Jones Show. We definitely appreciate you joining us. For George Peppers, our special guest, for Jared JB Boyd on BK Jones. We appreciate it. Y'all be safe out there. 6 feet. Wash your hands. Wear a mask. And don't drink and drive. And enjoy the holidays. We'll be back next Sunday, y'all. And who that?